think that if you want lasting change, you have to put in a ton of work and effort. Well, I have got 10 set it and forget it ways that you can improve your life right now. Let's go. Hi guys, it's Laura, and everything that I'm about to share stemmed from depression. I had postnatal depression after my daughter was born, and I really needed simple, straightforward things that were going to make my life easier and more enjoyable. And honestly, I still use these because even though I'm not currently suffering from depression, I still want life to be easier. Every time I reap the rewards of one of these, which is regularly, I give myself a little high five. Back then, it was all about survival, but these days, it's about just making life simpler and better. So let's dive into the first. Now, initially, it may sound like terrible advice, but stick with me. This has had a significant positive impact on my life, and that is to stop caring. Not about everything, but about most things. Listen, if the world had its way, you would never get a second's peace. There are so many things vying for your attention. There are so many things to be concerned about, so many things that are trying to tell you how important they are. And I'm not saying that none of those things are important, but the reality is that you can't care about everything. This is one of the hardest lessons that I learned, but honestly, it's probably the most valuable. And it's something that I am still learning and implementing to this day. Sometimes you just have to let some things go, even if it's just temporarily. You unfollow or you mute the account that's just not making you feel great. You stop watching the news, political debates. Maybe you take yourself off social media for a while. You realize that no matter how bad it gets, the house can always be cleaned again, but your kids will only be young once. So choose your battles, otherwise you will spend the rest of your life fighting. Now, this next one is something that I still struggle with because honestly I get fed up with things so easily, but that is finding a dessert or a snack that is moderately healthy, a slightly healthier version of what you might typically eat, and make sure that it's something that you actually enjoy eating. So just a simple swap. My sweet tooth can very easily get out of control, and I was very conscious of it when I was pregnant because I didn't want to be flooding my body and therefore the baby's body with sugar. And then after she was born, I became acutely aware of the fact that if I didn't change my habits, if I kept going the way I was going to get diabetes. There was no question about it. And obviously not only would that affect my life, but it would affect her life too. So I quit chocolate, which was my biggest vice at the time. Now, I am a comfort eater. If I didn't have anything to substitute for that, if I didn't have some slightly healthier alternative to junk foods, then the junk foods would take over. Yes, diet overhauls are great if you can do them, but even just making one simple, slightly healthier, just as yummy swap can make a big difference. Next then is putting as much on autopilot as you can. Setting up direct debits, using a meal delivery service, which I'm actually currently considering, so if you use one and you love it, drop it in the comments for me. Collecting more than 1 month at a time of your prescription, if you can do that. Having your shopping delivered. What are the things that you just don't have to deal with, or don't have to deal with as often? Where can you delegate responsibility to someone or something else? Again, this is such a simple, one-time, set it and forget it thing that is going to continue to pay dividends. And then the weekly reset for those things that you either can't or don't want to delegate. I was finding that there were so many little things that were falling through the cracks. Not huge priorities, but they did become big problems if I wasn't dealing with them on a regular basis. Things like paperwork that would start piling up, or clearing out my inbox, washing my water bottle. I know that seems like a silly little thing, but it gets grotty really quickly, and if I don't clean it about once a week, then I'm just basically drinking bacteria. Watering my plants, changing the towels. So Sundays are my reset, catch-all days where I do all of those little things. It saves me from constantly trying to remember them. It saves me from stressing out about them all week, trying to squeeze them in whenever I have time, letting my plants die. I just have a set day when I get them all done in one sweep. Next is such a simple one, and it is going to save you so much hassle. Whenever you are somewhere for a regular appointment or checkup or service, make your next appointment before you leave. If you are like me, one of the biggest draws to this one is that you won't have to, sometime in the future, call them up and make an appointment. I hate talking on the phone. But without it, it's just too easy to forget and then try and figure out, when was my last eye test? Or try and count forward and think, when am I due to get my teeth cleaned? It's such a simple thing, but it just ensures that all of those routine, important things don't go undone. Okay, let's change tack and look at your closet. Create a little style file for yourself. Make a note of the clothes that you feel comfortable in, the clothes that you look good in. Even snap a picture of yourself in the outfit and save it to a folder on your phone, and then anytime you're not sure what to wear, you can just flick through and remind yourself of all the things that you look great in. Once you find a style, it's going to be so much easier to get yourself dressed in the morning. No more trying to figure out what to wear, no more skipping over things because you just don't like them. Maybe you're not even sure why. No more buying things that don't suit you and then finding them stuffed at the back of the closet 6 months later with the tags still on. And it is perfectly okay to have several styles. Mine vary wildly from day to day. But once I had nailed down what worked for me, it just made everything else so much easier, and I stopped wearing things that I didn't feel great in. Speaking of feeling good, sort out your undergarments. I know they're not the cheapest, but even just get yourself one decent pair. Also get yourself properly measured. You may have to go to more than one place to have this done. Try and go for the places that have the more experienced staff. Don't listen to the young'un who tries to tell you that the thing that is squeezing the life out of you is perfect fit. It's supposed to be a bra, Tiffany, not a boa constrictor. This camel has 2 humps. But anyway, decent underwear can make your day. Okay, 3 left, and the last one is probably going to sound counterintuitive. It's probably also going to make me sound like an old woman. But before we get there, be solutions focused. The amount of time that I have spent cursing something but doing nothing about it, or putting something off for months and months, just procrastinating on it, dreading doing it, and then finally getting around to it, and it takes like 2 minutes. Life is full of small annoyances, and some of them are so small that it doesn't seem worth it to put any effort or energy into them. They don't seem like priorities. But then it's 5 years later, and if you have to hear that squeaky door one more time, if something is bothering you, just fix it. free up that headspace. Either do it on the spot, if it's only going to take a few seconds, or add it to your weekly reset and rest easy. This next one then is something that I didn't even realize could be so easy and could make me feel so great. That is contributing in some small way. I used to think if you weren't building schools or donating millions of dollars or volunteering every weekend at the soup kitchen, then you weren't making a difference at all and you were a terrible, terrible person. Honestly, I am not great at giving of my time, particularly if, there are set hours, there's no flexibility, but I do have other resources. Some of them are financial, but also, I can give help and advice. When I started coming out the other side of depression, it was really important to me, still is, to make sure that other mothers didn't have to go through that, to make sure to talk to them and share advice and reassure them and just generally make sure that they were okay. So give to others, even in small ways. Maybe cook a meal for someone that you know is struggling. Donate anything that you no longer need, as long as it's in good condition. Check in on a neighbor. Offer a kind word to a stranger online. Doing good is one of the best ways of feeling good. And now, the counterintuitive one. Schedule fun. Hear me out on this one. It is so easy for life to just take over, and you might think that scheduling is too rigid, but life doesn't always allow for spontaneity. There will always be calls on your attention. There will always be something else to do. So if you are not making fun a priority, if you are not carving out time on a regular basis, it might not happen. Fun is important, and if you have to schedule it to fit it in, so be it. Now, if you missed last week's video all about instant mood boosters, things that you can do in about 1 minute that are going to make you feel great, you can catch up on that right here. Or if you would like to learn how to set up a really simple but effective weekly reset so those small things no longer fall through the cracks, then go ahead and click right here. Go raibh míle maith agaibh, agus feici mé sibh go luath. Slán!